question. Olympia, our first Olympia question at our newest campus. My husband is in the military. Any advice on maintaining intimacy during long deployments? That's a tough one, isn't it? You want to take that one or me? It's a wife question.
Well, it's definitely more of a challenge, but not impossible. Communicating whatever way you have access to communicate, whether it's iChatting or phone sometimes, letters, whatever way you can. Don't drop the communication levels just because it's more difficult. And make sure you're encouraging each other and still talking through issues and living as though you're still in the same country. It's just going to be more of a challenge, but don't drop off communication. Utilize technology to the best of your ability, whatever he has available there.
Yeah, and for the guys, the big issue in the military is pornography. I mean, it is rampant, and prostitution. For those guys that are in the military, the average prostitute turns her first trick at age 13. And 90% of all prostitutes were molested as little girls. So I tell the military guys who are out on deployment, you get your day of leave and you go into town and there's an opportunity. See it with the eyes of Jesus. See that these are women who have been abused and they are not to be abused anymore. That in fact it should be heartbreaking that those situations are even possible. So for those guys, I would encourage just a real strong look at women through God's eyes. And if you're a dude in the military, you've really got to fight pornography because it is prevalent.
And talk about those temptations and pray with each other about them and be cleansing yourself with the word when those things come up. Don't hide from talking about those because it'll really cause you don't want to hide more.
So it's okay for a wife, for example, to just be asking, when they're chatting or on the phone, honey, how are you doing with lust? How are you doing with pornography? How are you doing with temptation? Just to ask?
Absolutely. Yep.
And for the wife,
and encourage him to be in any kind of group
fellowship.
Of accountability with other guys that are Christians. I know there's some Mars Hill groups that watch the video and stuff too.
Yeah, a Mars Hill group of guys who are military or former military have started discussion groups online through the city. We're sending copies of Vintage Jesus curriculum overseas. We're trying to find ways to get more curriculum out to them because we have a lot of guys actually overseas that are doing Mars Hill, Baghdad, Mars Hill, wherever. They're in tents watching vodcasts, getting together for prayer and Bible study. So we've got little informal Mars Hill campuses and tents and barracks all over the world. And as the ministry here has grown, that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out is technologically, how could we do more to help those guys in the service that are out on the front lines with biblical instruction. The other thing I would say for the wife is a lot of the times when you're gone, particularly if the husband's gone, if you're stationed on base, it's a lot of young gals, very young. Sometimes they just got married to get out of mom and dad's house or to get the benefits from the military, and there could be a culture of we hang out with guys and we go out drinking and we have lots of fun and we party. And if you're that wife, you've also got a covenant with your husband. I'm not going to be running around. I'm not going to be hanging out with the wrong gals. I'm not going to be in the club. And that means for the gal, a lot of time with godly women, other married women, a lot of time, in Bible studies and church and good fellowship and community is really, really, really important. Because that time away is very difficult. And for those who are in the military, I think the military divorce rate is increasingly, significantly higher than the civilian rate for these kinds of reasons. So if the wife is saying, I have these fears, I would say those fears are statistically legitimate. So you and your husband architect, what are we going to do when you're on deployment? What is she going to do? What is he going to do? How are they going to stay connected to Jesus and one another? And if you're at Mars Hill, then let us help you do that. Let us help you do that.